Harmonics are the shimmering overtones of guitar and bass string vibration that can add brilliance and depth to your playing. From basic bell-like tones to screaming electric leads, harmonics are a unique and exciting tool in the musician's toolkit. Whether you've used them before or are curious about how they work, join us today as we deep dive into the world of harmonics. Now let's get nerdy! I'm Andy Schneider, career musician turned guitar coach, producer, and author of over 100 books for my publishing company, Seeing Music Books. I was a high school band nerd, then a devoted jazz guy, then a backing musician for great artists in every type of music. From Austin to Nashville to New York City, I've learned from my musical experiences and the great musicians that were there with me. I'm a self-taught guitarist, but I was lucky enough to get the right bits of education early on in my career. Pairing that with the many conversations I've shared with more experienced musicians put me on the path to success, a path that built my skills to become the experienced, confident musician audiences enjoy today. I created the Guitar Nerd podcast to give you simple steps to building and growing your musical knowledge, having greater abilities, and getting that amazing music that's inside of you out and into the world where we can all enjoy it. Whether you're a beginner or experienced guitar or bass player, if you want to make fantastic music, you're in the right place, my friend. Now let's get nerdy. Welcome, my fellow nerds. Welcome back to Guitar Nerd. My name is Andy Schneider, El Nerdo Uno. This is the place where we talk all things nerdy about guitars and bass guitars. Whether you're just starting out or you've been playing for years, I hope you'll stick around and find something here that's going to expand your musical horizons. Last week's episode was tube amp generations, because I'm a real fan of tube amps, as you probably are too. And there's so much to know about them, as their architecture, as their design, and their sound, along with it, evolved through the generations. And that's a good word for it, because one decade of amp, one generation of amp, kind of gives direction to the next generation. One amp you'll see evolving into another as the years go by. And there are so many sounds that are timeless and classic and just need to be in every guitarist's toolkit. I hope you'll check out that episode, Tube Amp Generations. This week, we're exploring the fascinating world of harmonics, those magical little ringing tones that can add a whole new dimension to your playing. Do you know what harmonics are? They're those little bell-like sounds. They can be coaxed out of your guitar or your bass by lightly touching the strings at certain points. It's not the same as fretting a note where you're pushing the string down and onto the wood and against the fret. More like just letting it vibrate without touching and then just barely tickling one specific point on your string. It's got to be the right point, and that's where you'll find the harmonic, and it's going to speak loud and proud. If you've never done it, I hope you're going to give it a try after we talk about it this week, and I'm going to play a couple of examples for you. Harmonics offer a shimmering, ethereal quality that can enhance any style of music. You have no doubt heard your favorite guitar player use harmonics, because it seems like everyone uses them sooner or later. Some players that were known for their use of harmonics were Eddie Van Halen. He used all kinds of different harmonics. There's many different ways to achieve those high little frequencies. And he used all kinds of harmonics to ornament his solos and rhythm parts. You bass players, please seek out the master. His name was Jaco Pastorius. Jaco Pastorius, on his self-titled record, there is a song called Portrait of Tracy. It's a bass solo made largely of harmonics. The intro to it will warp your mind and possibly change you forever, as it did me when I first heard it in 1987. I think the best thing to do to approach the subject of harmonics is to start by playing a few. So I'm going to start by playing the 12th fret harmonic. That's the easiest one. Everybody finds real success at playing it. It's pretty easy to find. And I'm going to start by playing the 12th fret, touching it very lightly, right at the 12th fret, but not so hard that it stops the string, not so hard that I'm pushing down and pushing the string against the fret or the fretboard. Just very lightly touching it, and then letting go with my finger too so that it gets out of the way. I'm going to play the 12th fret across all of the strings. Let's have a listen. Okay, did you hear how when I played the harmonic, it went up one octave? Same note name, just an octave, one octave higher. That's what happens when you play the 12th fret harmonic. Coincidentally, if you press down at the 12th fret, not play the harmonic, but actually just play a normal note, you press down at the 12th fret, it's the same pitch. But they definitely have a different personality, don't you think? I'm gonna play them for you. First, I'm gonna play the 12th fret note, the standard way of playing a string, and then I'm gonna play the harmonic that's right above it. So all I'm doing is lifting up my finger just slightly and catching that harmonic with just that tickly light touch. Here it is. Yes, that's the tonal difference between pushing down to achieve a note at the 12th fret or listening to the harmonic. Don't you think the harmonic sounds more like a bell? It has a different kind of sustain, a different envelope to its ring, and seems very chimey. Now, that's one type of harmonic, and that's one location. And the same type of harmonic, the type where you pick a string and then touch the harmonic, or you can start with your finger just lightly touching the string. Let's have a listen to what happens at the 5th fret. At the 5th fret. So the first thing I'm going to play is the open string. Then I'm going to play the 12th fret. Then I'm going to play at the 5th fret. Open string, harmonic, and harmonic at the 5th fret. Let's go. Three different notes, right? Three different notes on each string, each with the same note name. Each with the same note name, separated by an octave. On one string, I played the same note in 1, 2, 3 different places, in 3 different octaves. Now that's kind of exciting. Those are some pretty high up there notes too. By the time you get to the 5th fret harmonic, you're playing a double octave above the open string. That is one way of finding harmonics. And I should try to tell you why they exist. Harmonics are overtones or partials. They're always vibrating. They always are there. But generally they're kind of masked and mixed in with all the other harmonics that are going on the same string all at the same time. It's what makes up that complex sound. It's why it doesn't sound very boring and like one note. It's why it sounds like rah and has a lot of dimension and sort of an interesting landscape to the tone. Well, harmonics and overtones are partials. They exist all the time, and they make up the overall sound of a note. Normally, when we play a note, we're hearing a combination of all those harmonics ringing together. When you touch the string at very precise points, like right above the 12th fret or right above the 5th fret, you emphasize a specific harmonic. You mute the others, and what is left is that beautiful high harmonic tone. Now, I'd like to draw on the blackboard inside your mind for 1 minute. Since I don't have an actual blackboard that I can demonstrate on, I'm going to perform a little radio play here and see if you can't follow along, but I think you can. Imagine you've got a jump rope in one hand. You go over and tie it to the doorknob and walk back. Pull it fairly tight, and you shake it up and you shake it down. You shake it up, you shake it down. It's making an arc, right? It makes an arc up in the air, and then you shake it down. It makes a downward arc towards the floor, and then you shake it back up, and it makes an upward arc. That's what's happening when your string vibrates. You pluck the fundamental, it's just like that arc. Up, down, one big piece. Well, imagine you had a second jump rope. And on the wall behind you is another door, and you go over to it, and you tie your second jump rope to that doorknob. Walk back in the middle. Now you got one jump rope in each hand. You got one in each hand. You're in the exact middle of the room. Now you take your left hand and raise it up. Take your right hand, lower it down. Now switch them. Left hand goes down. Right hand goes up. Okay, reverse that. Left hand goes up, right hand goes down, left hand goes down, right hand goes up, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. You've got an arc coming off of both hands going towards that doorknob. One is always up when the other one's down, and when one's down, the other one's up. That's what's happening inside your string when you strike the 12th fret harmonic. It's stopped right where you stopped it with your little finger. The string really isn't moving. If you took a very quick photograph, you could see that it's not moving there. But on the other two sides, one is up while the other one is down. One is down while the other one is up. And the resulting sound is that harmonic, one octave above the open string. Did that work on your blackboard? I hope so. It's what makes podcasting fun. I've got some suggestions. If you're new to this, if you haven't fooled around much with harmonics, spend some time experimenting with all your strings. Discover where your harmonics are. 12th fret, 5th fret, and there's another one at the 7th fret. I'll let you discover that one on your own. It is not a perfect octave of the open string. It's actually the 5th. But there's one at the 12th fret, there's one at the 7th fret, there's one at the 5th fret. And there are many, many more, as you'll discover when you start experimenting. Well, they sure make fun noise. They make fun bell-like tones. They just make fun on a guitar. I've always loved harmonics, and they're great for guitar playing. They're great for bass playing, and they're easy to get for us bass players, too. I just created a harmonic cheat sheet, and I put it up on guitarnerd.net in the downloads section. I encourage you to go grab it, download it. It kind of highlights where some of these harmonics are and what the notes are that are underneath them. It's a handy way to visualize what's going on and to sort of categorize bringing them into your everyday music making. It's a handy reference. It'll help you find harmonics on both the guitar and bass. Just head on over to guitarnerd.net. That's GTRNRD.net. And the downloads section, it's there for free. Can't wait to see you there. I've always had a taste for the sweeter things. All right, now's the time we get to nerd out. let's nerd out about some pretty advanced harmonic techniques. I think I mentioned earlier, we just saw one method of making harmonics. There are many more. And creative players use them in rhythm parts, they use them in solo parts, all over the place. Acoustic, electric, bass guitar, we all got to have them. Let's talk about a couple advanced harmonic techniques. We can use harmonics in both chords and leads. Now consider this. How about substituting harmonics for specific notes in your chords or even your lead lines? One neat place to do this is at the 12th fret. If you were going to play a note at the 12th fret, consider playing the harmonic in its place. They're the same note, but very different tone. And they kind of have a different meaning, if you will, when it comes to crafting a lead line. Another place that you might want to consider substituting a harmonic would be at the 7th fret. 7th fret harmonics can also replace the note that lies underneath it. Now, they aren't the exact same note. Those are an octave apart. On the 7th fret of the E string is the note B. If you played the 7th fret of an E string, it's the note B. And if you play the harmonic at the 7th fret, it's also a B, but it's a B an octave above that note. So that's a fun way to include harmonics as a little bit of variety. When people expect you to play the 7th note for some reason, it's the end of the melody line, you could play that harmonic. Speaking of different kinds of harmonics, players often employ a technique called artificial harmonics. Now, they're really not artificial, that's just the name. But what they're trying to get at is that they don't lie where you might expect them to. See, any string that's divided in half, which, by the way, that's where your 12th fret is. Take a ruler sometime and measure where your 12th fret is. It's at the exact halfway point along your string. That's why it's also an octave. Little fun physics fact for you. But artificial harmonics happen also 12 frets above any note. Anytime you take a string and divide it lengthwise in half, you will get the octave above, whether you push down and play that note or whether you play the harmonic. So, artificial harmonics are where you're fretting a note, let's say at the 3rd fret. You fret a note at the 3rd fret of a string. And at the 15th fret, I just added 12 to 3. 3 plus 12 is 15. At the 15th fret, you would touch it with one finger while your pick disturbs the string and picks it. It's a really tricky technique that really takes some time to get the hang of. I'm not the greatest at it, but I'm going to demonstrate it for you right now. That's an example of artificial harmonics. And some players use it to create an entire tapestry, to embellish a whole other chord on top of a chord, kind of like when a piano player holds down the sustain pedal and sprinkles a chord all the way across several octaves. It's that sort of technique, but for guitar. And a third type of harmonics that gets used a bunch by lead players, and this is the sound that you hear every time you hear a lead player go squeal, it's pinch harmonics. For you electric players, explore pinch harmonics. Now, it takes a certain amount of gain to really get the most out of this sound. It takes a certain amount of gain, so you might want to be working with either a cranked amplifier or a fuzz pedal, and that amount of extra gain will help bring out the pinch harmonic. But the pinch harmonic generally gets used on solos. It involves striking the string with both the pick and sort of the side of your thumb. So you're going to be picking, then quickly and gently striking on the side with your thumb, and it matters very much where you do that along the string, how close to the bridge. Closer to the bridge is a good place to start, but you'll find that very small changes in where you apply the pinch harmonic give you very big different results. Some places won't really make a sound at all, whereas others, you're going to find a real whistler, a real screamer. I advise for pinch harmonics, find a YouTube video, and there are many good ones, where you can watch this up close, because speaking about it won't do it real justice, and it's very difficult to get the hang of it. Even watching a player do it, you're going to have to dive in. Go take a look for a nice YouTube video on pinch harmonics and try adding that to your electric solo playing. Okay, today we've explored the basics of playing harmonics, touched upon why they exist, the physics therein, and ventured into the advanced techniques for those ready to expand their harmonic horizons. Thank you to all you listeners for supporting this podcast. Guitar Nerd is on episode 007. Did you ever think we'd make it? We made it together. Episode 007. I have had more fun talking with you and talking with you online after the show. It means the world to me. Keep on with your questions and your comments. Your enthusiasm is what's fueling this whole journey, and we're gonna make each other better through music learning on this podcast. Next week, we're going to be talking about what are modes. Yeah, modes. Have you heard of modes? When people are talking about scales, they'll often talk about modal theory or playing a mode. We saw one type of mode, a mode of vibration, that's harmonics. Now we know that modes of vibration are happening all over the guitar string. All kinds of different modes are happening at the same time. These modes are a little different. We're talking about modes of scales. And it's a really interesting subject, often called modal theory. We're going to be diving deep into modes, how to get a lot out of them, and how you've already been using them and hearing them your entire life. You've got great music inside of you. Let's get it out and into the world for everyone to hear. We can do this, guitar player. Music's better when you do it on the buddy system. We got each other's back. Experiment with harmonics this week. Marvel at how they can transform your sound. Explore their potential. Bring something new to your playing. Let me know in the show notes what you learned, what you liked, and what you find difficult. Maybe we can do an episode on it sometime. Until next time, have a great nerdy week. I'm Andy Schneider, and you've been listening to Guitar Nerd.